Hello everybody and welcome back to another video for the day. We're heading back into r/EntitledPeople, and I know I've been reading the comments saying that you guys wanted more of these longer format storytime videos, so maybe I might bring them back a little bit. I'd love to hear what you guys do, so if you guys would like to be absolutely amazing, show your support and see more videos like this one in the near future, be sure to hit the like button, leave a comment down below to start the wholesome internet discussions, and if you have not already, subscribbles, because the comments and liking really do help out the videos in the algorithm. And when videos perform better, I feel more motivated to do more videos like it, so really, thank you guys. Entitled Kid tries sending his police officer dad after me in a /pro-revenge attempt, but his plan backfires. From the mid-90s through early 2000s, I have spent my summers working as a counselor to a Boy Scout summer camp. I've worked in several different program areas, but this story happened when I was a director of the rifle range. Every week we would get a new group of campers, and when they came up to the range for orientation, I would go over all of the safety rules, and I would finish by telling the kids, you all get one warning on the range, and this is the warning. There are only two safety directions to point your rifles, up in the air or down range. It doesn't matter if it is loaded or unloaded. If you break this rule and deliberately point your rifle in any other direction, you will be kicked off of this range and will not be allowed to shoot here for the rest of the week. I would go over these rules again for the kids on the first day of merit badge classes to satisfy the safety rule requirement for this badge. And there were plenty of posters hanging around the range with all of the safety rules on them. In other words, there were no excuses to break them. One day, the scouts in my merit badge class were practicing shooting for the test they had to take at the end of the week. One scout, the entitled kid of the story, thought it would be funny to point his rifle at another scout and spout off some random action movie line. I ran up and snatched the rifle from his hands and yelled at him, "What the heck are you doing?" The entitled scout responds as such,
But it wasn't loaded.
"Recite the safety rules now." The entitled scout recited them all, including the part about pointing in a not safe direction. I told him to hand over his shooting ticket and tore it in half and said that he was done on my range for the rest of the week. Later that afternoon, the range was open for free shooting. Everything was going smoothly, until I noticed the entitled scout walking up the trail towards the range with his father, an assistant scoutmaster who was built like an NFL linebacker. After the round of shooting ended, I called a ceasefire and told my assistant to keep an eye on the range while I handled the situation that was about to happen. As I approached the entitled scout and his father, he jumped up and down, pointed at me and yelled,
That's him. He's the one who tore my ticket and kicked me off of the range.
He looked at me and yells,
You're gonna get it now. My dad is a cop, and you're going to be sorry for what you did.
Before I could get a word out, Cop Dad gets in my face and started chewing my butt out drill sergeant style. Now, this story happened a long time ago, and that I don't remember exactly what the Cop Dad was shouting. I mostly remembered the dookie-eating grin the entitled scout gave me as he watched his father tear me a new one. I just stood there quietly and patiently waiting for my turn to respond. Finally, Cop Dad said something along the lines of,
So, what do you have to say for yourself?
Me? Yes, I did tear up your son's shooting ticket and kicked him off of my range. But did your son mention why I did that? Cop Dad's face went from angry to inquisitive. He blinked in rapid succession and said, No, what is that now that you mention it? He didn't tell me why. We both turned our attention to the entitled scout. His smile faded, and he shrunk into our presence as he realized that his plan had just backfired. I loved returning the same dookie-eating grin that he gave me a few moments earlier. To the entitled scout's credits, he did tell the truth. He probably knew better than to lie to Cop Dad. And if looks could kill, the looks on Cop Dad's face would have killed his sons several times over. After a moment of silence, he finally said, in one of the most intimidating voices I have heard in my life, "Go back to camp and wait for me at your tent. I'll deal with you soon. The entitled scout left to the tune of Dead Man Walking. Cop Dad turned to me and apologized for getting angry and chewing my butt out before knowing all of the facts, to which I accepted his apology. For the rest of the week, Cop Dad would come to the range every day during open shoot my rifles, and would hang out and talk with me. Turned out he was actually a pretty cool guy. At the end of the week, he told me that when they got home, he will finish his son's rifle shooting merit badge, and he'll make sure his son is to never respect a firearm ever again. Yeah, I got a little bit of experience with firearms. I've been to the range a couple of times with my family and stuff. But yeah, rule one that they tell you when you get there, always treat them as loaded. Even if you know that they're not, the people around you don't. That, and it's also supposed to be good for developing habits of firearm safety and such, so that's another reason that rule is there. I'm mainly glad that this didn't delve into, oh, not my darling angel, not my baby. At least the kid had the common sense not to lie to Cop Dad. Firearm safety is very important and everything, but like, no joke, one of the first, if not the first rule they tell you is always treat it as loaded. Wifey broke her silence, tried to seduce me, and is scrambling to find an apartment now. The fact that this was predicted so well by so many people here is kind of frightening, but it only seems to prove what a big stereotype Wifey is. After roughly a week of the silent treatment from her, Wifey couldn't keep it up anymore and started love bombing. She even tried to make me dinner and get me drunk. I told her while she was cooking that I wouldn't touch anything she made. For one, she's a terrible cook. And secondly, I don't trust her not to put anything in the food. She made overcooked hamburgers and didn't touch them or the alcohol provided. I mean, the beer was already open. She cried and I said that I was being mean by not eating her food, and I coldly said that it was because I can't trust her anymore. She retorted that it wasn't that she had cheated on me or anything. I said back that she may as well have cheated since her mother was always more important to her than me, the man she married. You can't keep a marriage by treating your spouse as a secondary. Wifey changed the subject by breaking down crying and begged that if I stopped the divorce, we could get the marriage counseling that I had wanted, and she'd never try to have her mother live with us. I told her that it was far too late. She had her chance and blew it badly. She already made a very clear where she'll always stand. In the past 2 years, she has made no effort to get better, and only acted nicer in public. Why would I want to stay in that sort of toxic relationship? She had to answer truthfully for once, and admitted that she likely would have left me if I had done the same stuff to her, but she still kept trying to convince me not to divorce, and that we could work it out. I had to just walk away and go into the office again. Wifey didn't stop, and even tried to initiate intimacy multiple times. She walked around the house in lingerie a lot, and even my favorite of wearing nothing but a lacy apron. She hasn't done that for me since our honeymoon, even when I asked. She tried touching me in places, running her fingers in my hair, and getting on her knees to try to entice me. I didn't take her bait and stonewalled. She ended up gaslighting me with the "Am I not good enough?" line. I told her she used to be, but I just can't see her that way anymore. Wifey left me alone to hit the bottle hard after I said that, and she wound up puking in the kitchen. I wouldn't put it past her to try to baby trap or frame me at this point. I even lock the door when I sleep, and I've installed a hidden camera in the room. I want out of this house, but I can't leave yet until I can get into my new place. Wifey later doubled down while sobbing when nothing was working on me and begged again that I don't go through with the separation and divorce. But I've already found an apartment that'll be vacant sometime in early mid-March. I've also notified all of the utilities of the change as well. Wifey is now freaking out even more because now she has to find an apartment for herself right away. I don't really care where she'll end up. I'm just happy that I'll be free of this house soon. I've also made sure not to tell her where my upcoming apartment is located, and she's tried to get that info out of me 3 times already. As soon as the apartment is ready, I'll start moving my stuff in. I'll be taking the bed from the guest room when I go. I paid for it after all. And it'll be easier to move since it's a queen size. And what in the master room is a king. I'm a light sleeper, so having a comfortable bed is the must. My wife can have the bulk of the furniture. She can either leave it for the next tenant or she can sell it. I don't care anymore. The apartment that I'll be moving into is a one-bedroom. The previous tenant left it in a sorry state, so it needs some remodeling. But I picked that specific one because not only will the rent be far cheaper than the house, it'll be much closer to my job. Like, I could walk or bike from there. And I haven't ridden a bike in years because I never could get wifey to. Yet another thing that she had held me back from. So, when I move out, one of the first things I'm going to do is buy a bike. Edit, to clarify, wifey is the only one who's been drinking. I've avoided it for a while now. Edit 2. I've gotten many comments from people judging me from this post alone. I have not been acting this way for no reason. Read my prior post to see what I have dealt with that led to this. Edit 3. To explain what happened with my bike situation, wifey hates bikes. She never wanted to ride with me, and that made me slowly lose interest. And then she threw out my old bike without asking me. I wasn't very mad because it was in bad shape, but it's on me for never replacing it. I acknowledge that. Still not sure what bike I want yet. Either a street, mountain bike, a classic road bike, or a fixie. Yeah, it definitely don't sound right at all if somebody says, yeah, no, I would leave if this was flipped around on me, but since it's not, let's try to make this work it out. Yeah, that totally doesn't sound absolutely messed up at all. My parents threw me out as a child, and then expected everything from me when my grandparents died. I don't know why my post from r/entitled was removed. My friends who helped me set up this account repeatedly asked me to post this story, and now says that it's too good not to blaze here. So fine, I'll do it to this one more time. As others may know, I mentioned in my HOA post about how my parents hated me and only loved my sister. This is the story of that. I was born when my mother and father were only 17. It forced both of my parents to drop out of high school and to each get a GED so that they could find work right away. My father especially was not happy about this because he had dreams of playing football in college, and instead he had to work at a gas station. He said to my face many times that I ruined his dream. My mother hardly raised me as she had to work too. They had a cranky old lady next door watch me most of the time. She wasn't so bad. She gave me more attention than my parents did. My father eventually managed to land a better job as a manager due to his experience running the gas station. It was right after that my mom got pregnant with my sister. I was 6 when she was born. I wasn't exactly shown much love before that, but once my sister came along, it was pretty much obvious to even my 6-year-old self that I was unwanted. The only ones who seemed to care were my paternal grandparents and somewhat my babysitter. And they were more like my parents because they treated me the way a little kid needed to be loved. We lived in a 2-bedroom apartment, and as my sister got older, it went from me sharing a bedroom with her to me kicked out of the room entirely. I slept on the couch for 2 years, and I barely had anything to my name other than clothes, school supplies, and an old Game Boy. When I was 10, my parents decided that they were gonna move away, but this move did not include me. I ended up actually being fine with this, as my grandparents had agreed to take me in. My life was instantly better. I got my own room again, and my grandparents gifted me a brand new Nintendo 64 in 1996. That Christmas, I got a Game Boy Pocket too. And there were a couple of kids my age in the neighborhood that I got to hang out with. We rode bikes, played video games, shot cans with pellet guns, built forts, and got dirty playing in the creek. You know, the stuff a normal kid would enjoy. I was finally happy. As time went on, I grew up and eventually moved out, but later moved back in to help my grandparents' house as they were getting old and living off of their retirement savings. So some rent money from me went a long way in paying the bills. My grandpa was the kind of person who'd wanted to build a bomb shelter during the Cold War, but never got around to it. He wanted to volunteer for the military in the 60s, but was turned down due to a medical condition and the fact that his eyesight was not great. So he focused on saving whatever he thought he needed. He told me many times that it was better to have something and not need it than need it and not have it. Our area suffered from numerous power outages in the winter due to heavy winds and storms, so having gasoline and propane for heaters and generators was a must. All of these saving habits became my own as time went on, because it was better to need stuff this rarely than not to have it at all. Of course, there was the HOA bothering us. But that is its own story. The problem is, about 5 years back, my grandma died suddenly, and my grandpa was heartbroken. So he also went about a year and a half later. Pretty much everything they owned was willed to me. Their savings, their house, their vehicles, their stuff, everything. The house was long paid off, and Grandpa knew how to keep up with its maintenance. In fact, after Grandma died, he kinda doubled down on renovating the place. He had the roof redone, the house was repainted by us inside out, and we fixed a lot of little things. Grandpa's neighbor George even came by to help redo the plumbing. Ironically, the HOA was better happy with the changes, because the house didn't look run down anymore. One morning, I was fixing breakfast, and my grandpa never came downstairs. You couldn't keep the man from his bacon, so I went to check on him. He wasn't moving. I called the emergency lines, and paramedics came, only to tell me that he had passed in his sleep. My parents made Grandpa's funeral a show. They didn't bother to show up for Grandma's, they were too busy. And at Grandpa's funeral, they didn't seem to grieve at all. My sister also showed up wearing a bright colored designer dress, which I wasn't happy about as it was a church clothes only function. I noticed my parents repeatedly whispering to each other and glaring at me whenever I looked at them. I come to find out at the will reading that my parents knew that they had been disinherited long ago for their treatment of me, and they thought it extremely unfair that I got everything. They threatened to sue me to contest the will, and I got repeated calls and messages from my father, mother, and sister telling me I needed to do the right thing and give my father what was supposed to be his. I told them all to flake off in far more unsavory words. My parents ended up taking me to court to challenge the will, but the judge ruled in my favor after seeing the will and hearing us both out. So it wasn't a long drawn-out legal battle. The judge even looked at my parents with absolute disgust after seeing the will and hearing about their mistreatment of me in my childhood. He called my father a terrible parent and that my grandparents were right to disown him. My father just hung his head in silence, but he made sure to stop me outside of the courtroom and tell me I was always the biggest mistake of his life, and that if he could go back in time, he'd make sure that I never existed. He should have been a football star, and instead, he has to wear a name tag for a 9 to 5. I told him that, mistake or not, Grandma and Grandpa could see what kind of nasty person he was. I didn't ask to be born. And the only real love I ever got was from my grandparents, and he was no father of mine anymore. I got a few more threatening and harassing phone calls, as well as some letters from my parents, all demanding money, among other things. But over time, they just stopped because I completely stonewalled them, never responded to the emails or letters, and I stayed silent during the phone calls. A few times, I just left the phone sitting on the counter with them ranting until they realized I wasn't listening. Aside from not getting the house or money, my parents seemed particularly irked that they could not even get a rise out of me. But I was prepared to go to war against them, and they knew it. So, in the end, they just left me alone. From what I know, looking at Facebook for the past decade, my sister tried to get into modeling, got married, had 2 kids, got divorced, and is currently unhappily looking for a job that she feels is beneath her. My mother currently works retail and is also vocal about her disdain for it. Like my father, she peaked in high school. She was a cheerleader back then, and even had her old uniform framed on the wall. My father was pretty much had the same job for 25 years, and he must be good at it if he's still doing it. As for me, well, I'm in my late 30s now, and live pretty much debt-free in a nice neighborhood. I haven't really had a girlfriend since high school, and I've had little motivation to ever have another relationship. But loneliness gets to everyone, so maybe I'll try to find someone soon. Not many are in the financial position I'm in at my age. Single, paid off house, 2 vehicles, and a decent amount in the bank. I guess I could aim to be a stepfather. That might be more my speed. Yeah, you know, you be an absolute dong to somebody, and then, it comes around to bite you. Ain't that funny how that works? So, hopefully, I'm wishing the best for you, and for your rest of your family. Well, they had their stuff coming to them. This is just the consequences of their own actions, if anything. I'm not your free babysitter, but thanks for asking, though. So, I have a distant friend. She is a friend of a type of deal. She has 3 kids, I have 3 cats. Her kids are enrolled in a camp very close to my house. Pickup from the camp is at 4 p.m. The line for pickup for the kids is 3 p.m. Yeah, it can take a really long time to pick up kids at the camp. A big old line of cars form every day to get the kiddies. It's a bit chaotic. Now, here is the story. This friend of a friend has been using her lunch breaks to fetch the kiddies from camp. Sometimes the traffic is so bad she is getting late back to work. I'm not sure if she takes the kids for her to work or drops them off someplace, but the situation at work is pretty dicey. Her boss is sick of her coming in late. Now, I live very close to this camp. My house is on the pick up your kids parade route. These parents are on. Oh, there are some angry humans waiting to get into that school for those kids. Mark my words. Friends of a friend has come up with a brilliant idea. In her eyes, anyway. She asked me to go get the kids for her, all 3 of them, so that she could, like me, to take them back to my house, give them a snack or something, and wait for her to pick them up. She thinks it will be much easier to fetch them from my house than the camp, since she has to drive into the camp and I can merely walk. I said, no, I am not a babysitter. I'm not a nanny. I'm an artist and I have a job. I work from home, but I have a job. I'm not wanting 3 kids under the age of 10 for unknown hours and have to provide snacks for them as well. She said that she would pay me $20 to fetch the kids. I said, no, I already have $20, so I'm good. She does not find this funny, but I mean, I sure did. She tells me she's a single mom trying to do her best. It takes a village. I am so close to the camp. Why can't I just do this favor for her? I say, because it's not a favor, it's a job. I already have a job. I work from home. I'm an artist. Also, I don't know your kids. I barely know you. I'm not watching 3 stranger kids for anyone, and that is just how the cookie crumbles. Well, she was unhappy. Very, very unhappy. Her next plan is set into motion. Send in the mommy group. She gets my friend and a few other friends to email and call me. Nothing like a good mommy wagon train to circle around with. Except that doesn't work either. You see, I'm not in high school, so the whole peer pressure thing no longer applies to my life. I don't care if they like me or not. Also, I'm not a human mommy. I'm a fur baby mommy. Another fur baby mommies don't care about such things. We are a super laid-back group in general. We have to pick up our kids' poop, and I'll pick up my kids' poop policy. Mommy group made some big points at all with me. 1, how easy it would be for me to get the kids from the camp. 2, I could do arts and crafts with the kids until mom came and got them. 3, I would not be lonely during the day because I would have the kids to play with. And 4, it would be a nice thing to do for a single mom who is struggling with a situation right now. All of them are really interesting points that have absolutely no impact on me. Arts and crafts with the kiddies? Are you real? I don't do arts and crafts. I sell art for a living. I'm not a freaking Michaels. The kids can't help. I don't want them to. And my studios some days are full-on wrecks. I don't even let the cats in there on most days. Plus, single mommy with 3 kids is driving a brand new BMW. Perhaps she could have gotten a more economic car and a professional nanny. I remind them all that if was so easy to do this one thing, then they too can get the kids from the camp. Heck, park in my dang driveway if you need be, ladies. Then they can walk and grab the kids, take them home and do arts and crafts. Plus, friends of a friend will pay them $20 for their troubles. Not sure if that is for the week or per day, but who cares? It's like printing money at that point. All they have to do is provide the snacks and wait for her to claim the kids. Also, truly funny reply, but still not getting a laugh from the mommy group. In fact, I only got stunned silence and I think cricket sounds. I'm just not hitting my target audience with this humor. Well, it took a while for friend of a friend to see that I'm not willing to provide childcare for free, or for the $20, or for the sake of the village. I also pointed out that my idea of juice boxes is a Franzia, a refreshing white carton, and my idea of a snack is waiting until dinner. All points that she finds to be unhelpful and not practical. Sadly, friend of a friend, Mommy, is still racing to get her kids from the camp. Turns out that Mommy group folks are just too busy to fetch the kitties for her to. A bummer, I know. I thought it would be easy for them since they had made such good points about picking them up. Life moves on, camp is still swinging, and the parade of cars grows longer and slower every day. Then, today, this happened. I am inside of my house, sitting on my couch, binging the good, the bad, and the ugly of street food vendors on YouTube. I hear my back, so I'm leaning on a heating pad. You can see me from my living room window if you are on the parade of cars, picking up the kids from the camp. My feet are up on the coffee table, my cats are on the porch, my juice box, Franzia, is to the right of me, winky face. Just then, I get an angry text on my phone.
I thought you said that you were working. Too busy to get the kids? Looks like you're just sitting there doing nothing but watching TV. What the heck is the matter with you? Why can't you be a better friend?
OMG, it's friend of a friend. Neato. To which I answer, I am working. I'm on my iPad drawing. I'm an artist. I can do that. Gee, ain't my work grand? I am too busy to get your kids. It looks like I'm watching TV because I am watching TV. YouTube, Dancing Bacon, Street Fair in Malaysia. Cool. I highly recommend it if you ever get a second to yourself. I hurt my back, so that's what the heck is wrong with me. Thanks for asking. And I can't be a better friend because I don't want to pick up your kids. I feel like if we got closer and communicated more, I would be obligated to fetch your babies. You do see how my way is more convenient for me. Her. Those blasted dancing ... things on the text chat. Are you sitting in the car outside of my house right now? Her. Slight pause. Yes. Me, turning around slowly, big old wine glass in my hands. I smile, wink, lift the glass, and I text, cheers! God, if only I had some pot to light up, that would have been perfect. She was not amused. Still no laughs. I think I'm losing my touch. If you're laughing, are you laughing, dear reader? Yes, she does know that I'm on Reddit. Hi! If you're reading this, thank you for making me laugh today. Yeah, you know, just because you happen to know somebody who lives and would make things more convenient, just because you can't just have them be your nanny whether they wanted to or not. It's not how any of this works. Just because somebody works at home does not mean that they are suddenly available at all times of the day for unknown frickin' reasons.
No, but you need to be doing this because I'm a single mother.
Yeah, no, that whole new BMW thing and the nanny thing, yeah, no, that very much could have happened if you decided not to spend money on a brand new frickin' BMW. Even if you're paying a loan for that vehicle, you could have still gotten something cheaper, less monthly payments, and used that money for something, oh, I don't know, a frickin' nanny? But yeah, no, give them $20 and then give them your kids a juice box. Yeah, great parenting on that. I know for a fact my dumb butt would be doing the exact same thing. But with that, that is going to have to be it with the video. If you guys would love to be absolutely amazing, show your support and see more videos like this one in the near future, be sure to hit the like button, leave a comment down below to start up them wholesome internet discussions, and if you guys have not already, subscribe to the channel and turn on the notifications. And I'll be sure to see you guys in the next one. Thank you so much for watching, and bye-bye!